Must be 15 feet high. Big old root ball here. I didn't think this thing could push it. I rolled it up here for quite a ways on its side. And I think when enough dirt fell off, I'm able to push it at least most of the way. This is like a couple days later here. I don't know what day it is. Saturday today, Thursday when I took it down. Yeah. We just have to roll it in. Come in from, I mean, it's pretty much in there, but I'll come in from this side. And the power company can deal with it. They can have it. Put them down so we can see. One final shove over the edge. I don't go with it. There's a lot of branches down there holding. You can see there's a hole there. Now let's drive up. There she be. We got a few branches to clean up and some roots to clean up. And kind of fill the hole in a little bit. I wonder what that is. Plastic or something. Up this little hill here, and then so I was up there, I was able to, well, it accidentally just tipped up on end like a weeble wobble, and I was able to push it. Well, I'll shut it off right here for now. I'll probably cut that limb. Get that out of there. Finger in the way again, the usual. So these are some pretty good sized trees. It's cottonwood here. Cottonwoods are the biggest trees in Minnesota, supposedly. This is a good sized one. One or two. They go way up. That one's busted. There's bigger ones. I mean, this one, I can reach. I don't know if I had the camera here. I can put my hands around both sides of this trunk. Not around it, but get around on each side. This side's a little bigger. That might be a little dangerous. I didn't see that until now. Well, we've had some high winds, so I don't know if that's all spring. It's been high winds. Yeah, so that tree I took down, I'm pretty sure is a box elder. This is a box elder. They're native to this area. There's the leaves. They're related to the maple tree. Take you down to the big trees. You know, and they're down in a ravine here too. So if you measure from the bottom of the ravine up, you got to be almost as tall. I don't know how tall they are. It's hard for me to judge. I think they're taller than those highlines. The ones that are there now. Yeah, they're taller than that. Pretty sure. I'm gonna seed this edge in next fall for waterway. It just wants a wash. Used to be a waterway anyway. Blackberry bushes and nettles. Oh, look at that. First time I've seen that. Dead deer, what's left of it. So this tree, these things are huge. I mean, I can't get my arms even close. It takes me 3 trips around to get around this tree. At least. Should take a tape measure. That one over there is just as big. I don't know if you can see through all that brush. You know, they rot so easy when you cut them down, but they last forever otherwise. And they used to build barn rafters around here out of cottonwood. If you keep them dry, they're very strong. These things are scary big to me, especially thinking if they're rotten. So there's 4 monsters in this little draw of woods. This is probably the biggest one right here, but you can see the whole inside is rotten. I don't know if it was struck by lightning at one time. So this is the biggest one. Probably. Yeah, it's bigger than that other one. I gotta clear the brush out of here. Used to be able to walk around it. Yeah, she's all rotten. Way up there. And this baby goes way up there. Oh. They're not giant redwood, whatever they got out in California, but they're big for Minnesota. Biggest native tree in Minnesota anyway. These things are dropping branches and don't really like walking under them anymore. Let's see if I can get some nettles on me. Catch my foot on something and fall down. Yeah, so I must have uprooted this one a couple years ago. Must have been out here. Another, well, probably a chunk of that same deer. Our beautiful highlines. They run a tile line right through here. A little close to these trees, I think, but that's where they did it. And of course they, I gotta pick some rock. I would have dug the black dirt to one side when they located and did their connections, and thrown the clay back in and then the black dirt back on top. But isn't too bad. There's some spots, I mean, it's solid clay they left on top. And maybe they did it for a reason. Maybe them clay chunks, since it was dry, they were like boulders. So they probably didn't want that on top of the tile line. So if that's the reason, then that's reason enough. Still haven't worked on getting that backhoe going. Gonna mow the lawn today. I'm gonna clean this up, put the bucket on, the regular bucket, and level it out a little bit, clean up around that apple tree. Yeah, that opened a good gap. The tie line is halfway between them trees and these trees. That should be good. Actually, it's probably closer to these trees. I think it's right about here. Yeah, there's comes right through here. So we're that far away from there, and then them big trees. Should be okay. If that tree fell straight down, it's still gonna miss the tile line by 20 feet probably. And that's what they say how far the roots go. As tall as the tree is. Yeah, this is an apple tree. It was full of blossoms, and it gets these tiny little sour apples. And I don't know how old this tree is. When I was a kid, I don't even remember it, but it's older than me by a long ways. I'm sure I just didn't pay attention. This was so brushy here, you couldn't even walk in it when you got up to this end. There is an old fence line. So I think this bottom here was all pasture. All that field all the way up to them tall trees in the distance. That's where the other gravel pit is. I think that was all pasture by the previous owners in the 1800s, and then my great grandpa and my great uncles bought it. I don't know if they made this into a field, but used to be an old house sitting up here. We got pictures of it from 1895. It looked old already, but they didn't put it on a. It wasn't. It was the house was sitting on top of limestone, stacked limestone in the ground. It wasn't attached to anything, so that must be the way they did it back then. Just the house just sitting on top. And that house was heavy. When I tore it down, it was true 2x4s, planed, not raw, rough cut. It was plain 2x4, tongue and groove walls, and studs, 2x4 studs. They may have been raw or rough cut. They're all 2x4. It didn't matter if it was rough cut or plain. They all measured 2x4. Not today's lumber, which is quite a bit less than 2x4. And I wish I would have saved more of it, but the basement, the guy who was going to dig the basement for our house was coming. I didn't have time. Underneath the paneling inside, which was also all tongue and groove, like, what do they call it? Car siding, I guess. I don't know. On the inside of the house, that was all tongue and groove, and I ripped some of that off and saved some of that car siding. And underneath that, on the 2x4 walls, the tongue and groove solid walls on each side of the 2x4, was pencil writing. I didn't have a camera back then, on a phone at least, so I didn't take any pictures. I just had to knock it down and burn it and get it out of the way. The lumber, it was good lumber. You'd have to run it through a planer, but you got all them nails to match modern day lumber. It wouldn't have worked, but it would have been good for, little projects on the farm. Garden shed or something. All right, that's all.